So about 2007, I had my frame shop. I had a picture frame shop. It was downtown. It was a beautiful, beautiful little shop. I'd been running it for, oh, that was about the fourth year, I think. We'd been 2 years in one location. They kicked us out to open up another store that never opened in our spot. Then we moved downtown, and we'd been there for about 2 years downtown, and things were starting to look up. Things were starting to work. I had a client that came in. It was a woman that she had ordered some framing in the past. At least that's the way I remember it. Maybe she didn't, I don't know. But she wanted, one of the services that I offered was picture hanging. And she came in, and this was, I think, late November. She says, "Look, I've got a Christmas party coming up, and I need help getting stuff hung on the walls. I'm redecorating for this Christmas party." And I said, "No problem." We scheduled a time. I drove out there in the panel truck, and I had forgotten my ladder. I have very nice ladders. I have these nice fiberglass ladders. I've got 8 foot, 6 foot. I've got extension ladders. I've got I got a bunch of ladders. And I had forgotten all of them. I just didn't bring any ladders. And I asked the lady, I said, "You know what? I forgot to bring a ladder. Do you have a ladder?" And she says, "Oh, I've got a great ladder." And we find this ladder, and it's an aluminum ladder, 8 foot step ladder. And I don't really like aluminum ladders because they're not heavy. I like a heavy ladder because they stay. And this is a great example of why you shouldn't trust an aluminum ladder. So the very first part of this job was she had this 9 foot platform. It was 9 foot off the ground platform, little niche. She had a whole bunch of stuff she wanted moved. She had a bunch of stuff needed moved. She wanted stuff hung up on the back wall. And that was where I started. I put the ladder up, climbed up there, was moving things out of the way so I'd have room to work, and I went to come back down. I bumped the ladder. I lost grip. There was nothing to grip. And I fell off that 9 foot platform and landed on my butt. And it hurt. And it hurt real bad. And so anyway, I told the lady, I said, "Look, I will come back and finish this. I need to go tend to my back." And she was panic stricken, and understandably so, because I'm sure she pays for her homeowner's insurance. So I called the wife. I get in the panel truck, called the wife, told her, "Look, get my ice packs ready. I'm coming home. I fell," and she's okay, whatever. So I get home. Or actually, I don't get home. I'm driving home, and my back starts to lock up. I can feel it swelling and hurting and this kind of stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I need to go to the hospital." So I called the wife back. I said, "Look, I'm going to the ER." So I turned around and went back and went to the ER. I walked in. I walked up and I said, "I just fell, hurt my back, and this is as far as I go." They found me a wheelchair. I sat in the wheelchair. They wheeled me back immediately. X-rays, MRI, and I was laying in the bed in this, room, in this ER. Doctor comes up. She says, "I got good news, I got bad news." And I said, "Okay." She says, "The bad news is you have a compression fracture in L2. And I said, that's actually pretty good because I'd hate to hurt this bad and not have broken something. She says, the good news is it's only 40% through the bone, so we don't have to do surgery. But she says, I do need to see you walk before I can release you. And I say, where's the bathroom? So I got up and I shuffled to the bathroom. They gave me a prescription for a couple of different pain relievers and sent me on my way. For almost a solid year, I had ice packs in the freezer at work, and when one would thaw out, I'd put the other one in, and I kept my back frozen for a long time, just so I could work. I went to work. I think that would have been a Sunday. I went to work the following Tuesday. So that was in 2007, I think. It could have been 2008, but I'm pretty sure it was 2007 because we still had hope. Because in 2008, that's when the housing market crashed and we lost all hope. So there was that. Basically, the business. We were probably the first to know when the housing market crashed because it was like somebody turned the commerce switch off and business just stopped. Early 2008. It was kind of weird, but anyway, fast forward to many years later, and nothing but chronic back pain the whole time. Mostly mild, background noise. I can ignore it. Occasionally had to take pills for it. But you fast forward to about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we're on vacation. We're holiday, the family. We're on a trip. We're in Ventura, having a great time, escaping the heat of the valley, and we're up there and we're out walking. And then one of the things that I could do, is walk. We used to walk about. We literally for years averaged about 5 miles a day. We got the Fitbits. We monitored everything. We walked. And every day, we would make this big loop around the area that we would get 5 miles at the end of it, and that's what we did daily. So I should be able to walk. We're on holiday in Ventura, and we're walking around, and I noticed my back has been bugging me all day, and it had been kind of a growing problem where it was just sort of like I just couldn't. It was like it would get worse quicker. We are walking down the street, and it was evening, and it was like something had stabbed me in the lower back, like just stab. And it's difficult to say whether I had lost control or I think it was just the pain. It was just this sudden sharp pain, and I just dropped. And so there was something that had changed. Something was dynamically different in my injury. I have great insurance. I live in the U.S. Nobody has great insurance unless you're wealthy. So I tolerated it for a couple of years, I guess. Just not quite a couple of years. I don't know. For some period of time, I kind of tolerated it. The next time I have a doctor's appointment, I bring it up and I said, "Look, this is a new thing." The doctor didn't even know I'd broken my back, so I had to bring him up to speed. They scheduled. He says, "Well, that's really interesting." He says, "We need to get you some imagery." So he schedules an MRI. I show up for the MRI. The MRI says, "We can't do this because you haven't had an X-ray." So they cancel the MRI, schedule an X-ray, and I go in for the X-ray, and then they'll approve the MRI. I go to the MRI, and nothing. They somewhere they just dropped the ball. I don't know. It was they found something. They wouldn't tell me what they found, but they scheduled me with physical therapy. And physical therapy, the way the physical therapy went was I scheduled an appointment. I scheduled an appointment for one place. This is an outfit that has several offices, and I scheduled an appointment for one place, and they scheduled it for somewhere else, and I couldn't make it because it was in a different location, and things changed, and it was a different time. Then when I tried to reschedule it, they never would call me back. So apparently it was my fault. Anyway, a year goes by. I tell this next doctor that I've got, because there's always a new doctor. I tell this other doctor about it, and he says, "Oh, well, we need to get you some imagery." Okay, well, we did that last year. He says, "Well, let me pull it up." He can't find it. He can't find any of the records. He can't find anything. So, anyway, same thing. Schedules me for an MRI. Oh, it's a lady, actually. I'm sorry. Totally different. Yeah. So she was fun. She was a young doctor. She was full of hope. And heart full of hope is what she was. And anyway, she says, "Well, let's schedule you for an MRI." I said, "Well, you're going to need to schedule me for an X-ray first." She says, "No, I think we just do the MRI." I said, "Okay." They scheduled an MRI. They canceled the MRI. Scheduled a X-ray. Went in for the X-ray. Then they scheduled the MRI, and then I got a consultation, a telephone consultation, about what they found. The findings of these MRIs are real fun because it talks about, my favorite term is a remodeling of the spine. It's like that makes it sound like a home edition or something. Anyway, the guy came back, he said, "Look, basically what you have is trauma-induced arthritis of the spine." And he says it's going to get worse. He says typically arthritis works. He says in his experience, he says typically what happens is arthritis starts like in the ankles, and it'll go to the knees, it goes to the hips, and it goes to the back. And he says except for people that do heavy lifting, that kind of stuff. He says with people that do heavy lifting, it tends to work the other way around. It'll start in the back, goes to the hips, goes to the knees, goes to the ankles. And I said, well, I did spend several years doing iron work, doing a whole bunch, and you've seen a lot of that stuff where I was making gates, installing gates, doing a lot of welding, fabrication, that kind of stuff like that. That's what I did. So that was, I don't know exactly how long ago. I think that was diagnosed about a year ago. And so that's where I am with my back, is I have arthritis of the spine, and right now my life is I'm trying to redefine what active is and what I can and can't do. And it's kind of hard because what I'm trying to do is I have to find a balance between, like I say, it's a balance between what I can and what I can't do. And what I've found is if I do too little, like if I sit on my butt all day, the back gets sore and I can't move and I'm in a lot of pain. If I do a little bit of activity, I do a little bit of movement, I do stuff, I move around and get some walking done, I get some stuff in the shop done, it's okay as long as I don't overdo it. But it's a delicate balance. It's really easy to overdo it, because overdoing it can be, I picked up a 25-pound bag of something, and now my back, at the moment, not bad, but in a couple of hours, it's in a lot of pain, and I'm headed for the ibuprofen. And this is important to know all this. So like I said, that initial trip, that Ventura trip where I got the stabbing, and then it just, yeah. That was about 4 years ago. And what I noticed was, from that point on, it was taking a lot longer to do any of my projects that I had, like anything that I had for a customer, which I didn't have a whole lot going on anyway, because I just didn't. But anything that would come up, it was taking me a lot longer to finish. I was in a lot of pain, had a lot of breaks, had to do, had to really work around this, and I just couldn't anymore. And it was clear that I needed to find another way to live. And something that had happened. So you'll note that, so I went from professional picture framer to handyman to fabricator, doing the welder stuff, like fabricating like the gates and the fences and the odds and ends you've seen on the channel in the past, things like the big planters and barbecues and all that kind of stuff. Then I became, I had a job as a mechanic for a while. I did electrical work. I got my contractor's license, my C10 for electrical contractor. And I thought that would be, I was hoping that the electrical contractor thing would work, but one reason or another, things just didn't mesh. Things weren't lining up so that I could actually get anything going. And what I feel I need, and there's a lot to this. This is summarizing where we are, but what I decided was I needed to go back to school, and I needed to get my bachelor's or something that I might be able to do something else. And so when I graduated high school a long time ago, I was an architecture major, and I tried to be an architecture major in college, and I was at the local college to get an A. I guess it's an AA. I don't know if it's an AA or AS. I don't know. I think it's an AA for architecture. And I was going to use that to transfer to a real school, and I was going to get I was going to be an architect. That's the short story. Now, that didn't work, and there's a lot of reasons that I can go into about my experience. My experience with college counselors and high school counselors was not good. But anyway, I eventually just dropped out of that because I just couldn't do it. It wasn't difficult. It was just I couldn't pay for it. And so I just had poor counsel. That's the short answer. So anyway, there's a program here at our local community college it's a bachelor's program for automation. It's industrial automation. And I enrolled in that. I am starting my third year on Monday. This is, I don't know, Tuesday or Thursday. I don't know what day it is. This is Thursday. So next Monday, starting my third year, industrial automation. I'm going to be busy. And so the last couple of years, one of the reasons why I haven't been producing videos is because I've been a full-time student. That's a weird adventure. So the reason I bring all this stuff up, and the reason I've been having a hard time putting this video together for so long, is I don't know how to... It's hard to explain where we're going with the channel, and that I do want to make videos. I enjoy making the videos. I actually enjoy editing the videos. I enjoy putting them together, but I had to really sit back and think about just as the deal with my back injury and having to readjust my life around what I can and what I can't do, I had to really give a lot of deep thought into what I really like and what I really don't like about making videos for the YouTube. I also had to give a lot of thought to what can stay and what can go in the garage. Let's give a little tour here. All right, so as you can see, the regular viewers may notice that the garage is very different. So here's the this is the 64 Falcon Sprint. That's Rusty. We'll get into Rusty in a little bit. You can see he's red now. I've been kind of hinting at that for a while in this video, but we'll get into him later. Things have moved though. You'll note the forge is gone. There's a reason for that, and I'll get into, well, I might as well just get into it now. So I had removed the hood, the forge, the table that the forge was setting on. I had my I had my bellows hanging from the ceiling up here. That's been moved out. The anvil is still mounted. I love my anvil. I still want to do forge work, but it's on hiatus. I can't do it in the garage. I'm going to see about, at some point, what I want to do is maybe build a little forge out in the back, a little shop to do that. I don't know yet. My horizontal mill here, my little Kemp Smith, he was setting here. The lathe, which is kind of hard to see, it's, you know, right there across the back. That's my little clousing lathe, which hasn't been hooked up yet. It was setting over here. So what we've been doing is moving things around, trying to make more room, trying to organize the garage, organize the shop. So basically this whole bay is basically my fab area. So I still have the welding table, plasma cutter, and that kind of crap's over there. We've got the lathe here, which it will be hooked up. The horizontal mill just needs plugged in, and I got my anvil. So yeah, this is going to be basically the little fab area. I got my table here. This is my old table I had in here for years and years and years. We put new casters on it, put some cast iron casters on it, and right now it's just got crap piled on it, but it's a really good surface for assembling and working on and that kind of stuff. And because it's on wheels, I can move it. I can move it over there. I can move it over here. I can move it back and forth, and I can get it in and out of the way, and makes it a lot easier to move around. I have been in the middle of organizing and sorting and throwing out stuff that I don't want, stuff that I don't need, just making some decisions like this parts bin thing that I've had for years. The plastic bins are very brittle. They're falling apart. Also, there's a lot of this stuff, I don't know why I have it. I just don't. Like, I don't know why I have this pulley. I have no idea. So I got to sort and organize that, and then I'm going to get rid of it. I've got boxes. This is what I've been going through. There were two here. I went through those last night, but I've been systematically going through all these boxes. I don't even know what's in them, but I want to get rid of them. That's kind of the current progress. That's kind of the current project right now, is cleaning and sorting and organizing the garage. All of this wall here, and then there's a shelving unit over there. That is a lot of like home decor stuff. That's like, you know, the Christmas decorations, the Halloween, the fall, the spring, and all that kind of stuff. I want it out of the garage, and I have plans that eventually, I don't know when that'll happen. That might not happen for a year or two, but eventually I want to get all that out. I want to get a shed built for all that. And that's what I've been working on the last off and on throughout the summer, is moving stuff around. So for example, that lathe over there It's like, I think it's 1,600 pounds. And I don't exactly have a good way to move it, so it got drug across the floor. The mill, there he is, the horizontal mill, 3,100 pounds, I think it is. It got, matter of fact, to drag it, I put an anchor in the floor and used come-alongs to drag it to where I needed it. It is very heavy, and so what I'll need to do now is I need to shim it and level it, and that. Same with the lathe; it'll need to be shimmed and leveled and all that kind of stuff. But I don't have. That's what I've been doing, is just kind of sorting and organizing the garage. So that kind of leaves us with, you know, where are we with the channel? What's happening with the channel? And like I said, I want to make videos. I do. I like making videos for the YouTube. I just haven't been really coming up with any good content. For example, the Ranchero, which we'll cover in a minute, you'll notice painted. I was going to do a whole video on how I painted it. It's Rust-Oleum. And, you know, most people, if I tell them that, whoops, kicking the tripod here. Most people, if I tell them that it's Rust-Oleum, they won't believe it because it's very shiny. Now, it's not perfect, and we'll go into that. But I didn't record really anything. I took some photos along the way, and we'll go into that. I'll show those. But I didn't really record it because, honestly, there's enough content already on the YouTube on how to paint a car with Rust-Oleum. And I'm just adding noise. There's no reason for me to do it. I mean, you know, what am I going to add to that? I mean, there's just one more. So one of the things that I really enjoyed doing when I first started YouTube was I did time-lapse videos on the road. Back when I was looking for work, I was on the road a lot. I was going back and forth to different places around, and long trips to the coast and stuff like that. So I made several videos that were time-lapse, and this was before GoPro, so I had to come up with my own deal. I was taking time-lapse. I was taking photos with a camera, not a video camera, but like just a digital camera, and I had come up with my own intervalometer and all this kind of stuff, and I would edit, and I actually enjoyed doing that. It was a lot of fun. And I'd kind of like to go back to doing that. And so the future of the channel right now is, again, me. I have to adapt. I can't keep doing the big projects. It's been a while since I've had a big project. I'm not looking for any more big projects. Matter of fact, I've turned down work over the last months that are, you know, hey, would you like to build? No, I don't do that anymore. I built those big barn doors for some friends of ours up in the mountains, and that job just about killed me. And I don't think they ever appreciated how much it was hurting me just physically to do the work. And I just don't do it now. I'm done. So the future of the channel is going to be a lot of little projects. And what I'm hoping to do, and maybe I need a drum roll here or something, but what I'm hoping to do is we're going to focus on getting the car, the Ranchero, going. And then we're going to focus on road trips and little projects on the Ranchero and more road trips. And it's going to be things like I want to go back to making my time-lapse videos. I want to do destination videos. I want to do camping, this kind of stuff. I want to get out and get some traveling done. And I want to do a lot of it in the Ranchero. But not just the Ranchero. We have the Falcon. The Falcon can be taken on road trips. There is, I don't know if anybody remembers it, but I have a 1974 CJ5 that was pretty prominent on the channel for a while when I was trying to get it on the road, and it has that 4.6 liter in it, and we had put the Mega Squirt on it, and it ran. I wasn't happy with it particularly. I didn't think it ran that great, so I went out and found a factory computer for it, and I put the factory injection system on it, and then it grenaded itself. I don't know exactly. I don't think the engine's damaged, other than it stripped teeth off of the ring gear. Basically, what was going on, it was when you'd try to start it, it would misfire and it would fire back, and it would. I mean, it was a mess, and it was one of those deals where I'd start it in the morning, it would run, it'd take me where I needed to go, and then it wouldn't take me home. And so I have plans for it. I have plans for it. I have plans for the 51 Willies that's on the side. And we're just going to, I think, this is what I'm hoping, is we're going to focus on, the channel is going to focus on getting the cars on the road, taking them places. I really want to tour a lot more of California. I love my little state. I know, maybe a lot of people don't. You may have heard bad things about California, but California is not a bad place to be. And I'd like to get more videos of it. I'd like to get more, go places I haven't been. I've been to a lot of California, but it's been a long time since I've been a lot of places in California, and I'd like to go there. And I'd like to take my primary is I really want to get the Ranchero on the road. That is my thing. I want to get it on the road, and we want to go for trips. We want to do things. And then on top of that, we may cover some of the stuff of what it's like to be a 52, what it's like to be a 52-year-old in college. So we might kind of cover some of that a little bit. So what I want to do is, ultimately, the channel is kind of shifting again, and I know I've done this a few times over the last several years and a lot of it is because of adapting. My back is shot, and I just have a hard time. I've been having a real hard time doing what I used to do, and I would try to shift a little bit, and it didn't really take. And so right now what we're doing is, I think we're just making a pivot that is going to be something that sticks. And so what we're going to be doing is the channel is basically shifting to, it's going to be an automotive slash travel, camping, and blog, basically. And hopefully I can provide something that's of entertainment. There's going to be the projects, there will be still projects, little projects though. So for example, let's cover some of the future projects that I can think of immediately. The Ranchero obviously needs still work done, so the interior, I probably won't cover a whole lot about what I'm doing to the interior. However, I do need to restore the steering wheel. I need to make a instrument cluster. We need to do the electrical. So we'll cover some of that stuff. I've got to get the my camper shell needs some work, and it needs to be installed properly. Right now it's just setting there. Other things for the future, this is probably the last heavy project. That guy right there, that's the power hammer that I started years ago. I disassembled it. We will put it back together. Yeah, that might be the last thing that looks like a heavy project for me, and I will have my boys out here helping me, I'm sure, with any of the heavy lifting. So that's the future of the channel. Finally, the elephant in the room, the Ranchero. So let's get the update video on this. So this is the 63 Ranchero that we've converted into a 4x4. And the last time you saw it, it was not painted, and now it is painted. And this was done with a roller, with Oleum. It is not perfect, and let me discuss a few things. So You will be able to find plenty, if you want to know how to paint a video with Rust-Oleum, there's plenty of videos on YouTube, or at least there used to be. A lot of guys spray them. I don't like spraying, not because I don't like sprayed paint, but because I don't have a place to do it. Overspray is a real problem. And so, yeah, the roller is a very different experience, and there's a different philosophy to it. And if you really want, I can do a video on how to do it. But I don't think I need to show you how to do this stuff. But I can tell you a few things about what we did specific to this vehicle. First and foremost, I did not want this to look like a new car. I didn't do the kind of it just isn't that project. And I know people are going to be like, I know people are going to be like this because they are like this. You get a lot of opinions about things like, oh, you can't use Rust-Oleum, that's just cheap paint. Yeah, it's cheap paint. But honestly, I think my father-in-law put it the best. He says, you spend enough time, you'll end up with the best 1950s paint job you've ever had. So basically it works out. It's like a single stage, it's just a synthetic enamel. And I knew that there were going to be problems. So basically the overarching process is you do a lot of very, very thin coats with a one of those high density, medium density foam rollers, the little bitty 4-inch rollers. And you cut the paint down really thin. Well, you do that so that the paint can cure between coats. If you put one heavy coat, what ends up happening on Rust-Oleum's real bad about it, and any paint really does it, but what happens is if you do a really heavy coat, the outer layer cures and then the inside doesn't, and it takes a long, long time. So when you paint a heavy coat, you have to use a dryer, or an accelerator rather, so a hardener. So with this, you don't have to. When you do it this way, you don't have to. You can use hardeners with Rust-Oleum, and guys that spray it, they typically use hardeners. But with the Rust-Oleum, when you're doing it with the roller, it's a really thin coat, and a really thin coat. You let it, you put a thin coat, you let it dry, you do a thin coat, let it dry. And so I did take photos along the way, and so what it started off with was, I primered it, and then I blocked it out. I didn't do real great blocking. I'm not worried about it. Again, I'm not after making this a show car. This is just to have something so it looks decent down the road and it doesn't look like it's a pile of garbage. But then what I did was I went with 4 coats of black. And the reason I went with 4 coats of black is because one part of the process, and you can see here, a little bit of black showing right through, is after you've put the paint on, you have to sand it and buff it and then polish it. And so I've got all these ridges and stuff in the body, and I was pretty sure that I would end up cutting through, and I did. And so what I did was, in the photos you can see I started with 4 coats of black, and there are, I think there's 9 or 10 coats of red over the black. I don't have an actual count, but you can kind of go in the photos. You can see where it goes from it goes from black to kind of an orange, and you can see here's another place where I kind of cut through. And I can actually touch that up if I wanted to. I can just take some of the red and go over it, and then let it cure, and then sand and polish and stuff like that. There's another little area got thin. But yeah, that is that is my paint job, and I still have the interior to do, and I got to figure out. So I've got, like, you can see there's a bunch of schmutz all over the dash. That's from the wet sanding and polishing and stuff. So that'll need to be cleaned and primed and painted, and that'll probably just be a rattle can. I've had success with using just rattle cans on that kind of, like in the interior and stuff like that, where you just do it, and then I can still polish it and stuff after it's cured. But yeah, that's the paint. Let me let's see, what else did I get? We got the rear bumper mounted, so it's on. The tailgate's on. The tailgate isn't pretty on the in, so the inside of the truck is just got a little bit of paint on it. It still needs a lot of work. And then, of course, my shell. I'm real happy with my shell. That big box on top of it, that's the windshield. I'm not ready for the windshield because I need to get the interior painted and the headliner in before I can do the windshield. But yeah, that's my little protect-a-top right there, little fiberglass guy. I was real thrilled to find that some time ago, about a year ago, I guess. And so it's just setting in place and still needs mounted. So yeah, that's basically what I needed to cover in this video. It's not a very exciting video, I'm afraid, but it's one of those. It's a video that's either going to be wildly important or not important at all, because and I don't expect a lot of people to sit through this. It's mostly just me being whiny, and honestly, I don't know if I have the charisma to maintain a channel that's built on a personality, because I don't know if I have that personality. But this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, and like I said, future projects, we've got still the Ranchero. I want to have it on the road soon. If not sometime this winter, I want it on the road next summer. And we're close. You can see it's close. I was hoping to get it on the road this summer, but I ended up spending the entire summer working on this paint. Next project after this is the blue Jeep, the 74 CJ5. I've got a plan for it. I have a beautiful drivetrain that I want to put in it, and it'll be the whole thing. It'll be axles, everything changes. The axles are only, well, I don't know if I'll change. The axles have to change. So yeah, so it's a big project. But it'll be a new engine, new transmission, new transfer case, axle, definitely the front axle, probably the rear. That's the Jeep. I want to bring the teardrop trailer back out. I don't know how many of you remember that, but that was a project I'd built some years back. We used it once. It's been sitting in the back, and it needs finished. It didn't really get finished. It got to a point where we could use it as a storage and not sleep in it. So there's some issues where I didn't actually have the skin sealed perfectly, so over the years the sun has released sections of the aluminum, and that needs to be repaired, and I want to finish it, and I want to put, I want to finish the doors so that they've got windows, and I want to put actual proper doors, just the whole thing. It's a possibility. And again, ultimately, some road trips. One of my first ones I want to do is I want to take 395 US 395 from start to finish, which is a section of road, most of it I've never been on, but I haven't even been up the Owens Valley in years. Not since I don't think I've been up Owens Valley since I was an intern, since I was interning for an architect, a local architect here in town. So that would have been in 1990, yeah, something, 1994, 93. It's a long time ago. So, anyway. And of course, a lot of those road trips I want to put together. I want to start doing time-lapse videos again. So, and then there's also the hammer. The garage is, you know, I'm going to keep working on sorting out the garage. A lot of that's going to be boring. I'm not going to show. That's not going to be video worthy. That's just me doing stuff. Little projects for the Ranchero though. I got a lot of little projects for the Ranchero. We still, another project I just thought of. So we've got, like I mentioned, the steering wheel needs restored. I need to put the instrument cluster together. We have all brand new. I have a brand new set of gauges for it. All, you know, really nice stuff. Hopefully. I need to build a grill because you can't buy them for a 63. So I need to build a grill for it, and so that's where we are. So until next time, bye.